In this video, we're going to focus on how we can create a group scale here, covering specific tick segments here. And then as you can see here, we're grouping these items nicely together, giving it a special color as well. So to do this, the first thing what we need is to get a boiler template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com getting started. Once you're on here, scroll down and copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to get the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page and of course join the Discord channel. All the links are in the description box. So what we're going to do here is first we're going to create the radar chart from this. Let's say radar, save, there we are. Let's remove this scale here because we don't have a Y scale. What I want to do next is to make this round. So what I'm going to say here in the R, I'm going to say here the R scale because this is the radial scale. And we're going to say here circular or grid. Circular equals true, save, refresh, there we are. Next what we could do is we can do center point labels. Let's do not in here, but in the scale. Center point labels equals true. Save that, refresh. Oh, I guess they are already true. They are already connected. So that's all fine. So I guess this one can be ignored. So what we want to do next is start to create a line where we, for example, group these two values as a category. So we can give it a color. I'll give it a color and we can maybe in the future make another video that will cover that specific text if you want to put a specific text label there. However, let's start to create the hardest part. What we're going to do here, I'm going to say here a group scale or group label, group scale. And of course not like that. I need to say here first plugins. Array, there we are. Then I'm going to say constant the group scale plugin, and then we say here ID group scale, and then I'm going to say here before the data sets draw, before we draw the data sets, we'll draw these chart arcs and plugin options. Then what I want to do here is an object destructuring. I'm going to say constant, and then we say here the CTX, the data, and I want to get the radial scale, so scale and then the R specifically. So once we did this, what we need to do is we need to start to create lines around it, and what I want to do then is probably add some additional white space around this and remove this label here or the legend. It has no value and it has no function for us in this case. Plugins, comma, we say here legend, and we can say here display equals false. Save that, refresh. Alright, then we're going to say here padding, so we're going to say here layout. Then I want to add here a padding, and then in our padding we're going to say, well, I want to give everything a padding of maybe 50 pixels. We can do it like that. We don't have to specify it individually. Save that, refresh, there we are. Chart becomes smaller and we have all white space around this. So what I would like to do now is start to create a color line specifically from Monday, Tuesday till Wednesday, and then here a different color line just only maybe for one segment here, and then here another one. So we have multiple. To do this, we must have here our plugin. We need to specify the group. So I'm going to say here the following group array. So let's start to work in here, and we're going to say here for the we make group array, so constant group array to specify this specific item. So make an array here, and then make here we're going to just specify. And what I would like to do is I want to have a color, so I'm going to define here a color, and let's make this blue, comma. Then we have a category group. You can say here our group label. We can put in here ABC. I'll just make something here. Then we have the starting tick and we have the ending tick. And the starting tick and the ending tick is basically where would we like to start, somewhere here, and then end here. So to do that, I'm going to say a tick start. And this will be later on. This will be later on important. So tick start column. Let's say 0. And then we have a tick end number 2. So this will cover 2 ticks or 2 areas here. Then I'll put in comma and just put in 3 more. There we are. And then here, this we'll have, well, it start at 2 because of this, and this one will start at maybe at 3 because this one only has 1 item tick, and this 3, and then 5. This will be 5 and 7. So once we did this, and label 3, I'll just make something up. Label 4. Alright, so we say here a brown, black, and then dark green. Alright, so now we have these here. And what we want to do is this group array should specify or draw these circular shapes or the lines around it. So to do this, I need a few things. The first thing I need to know is how many ticks we have, and then we divide that by 360. So that's number 1. So we're going to say a constant, or let me just do a console log so you can see this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go into the R. That's why we have the R here. Let's save that, refresh, open up the developer tab. You can see here we get the object. Then if I go in here, the R, we have the ticks. So you can see here the total ticks we have. Although this one is not what I want, because there's more. With what we need is probably, let's see if we can find here something else where we can find the amount of lines we have. I guess we can even get it the labels. That would be probably more practical. Let's see here. That's the ticks. Can we find maybe the labels? Do we have anywhere? I guess what we can do is the data dot labels, and then we say here dot length. If I do this, we get here 7. That's basically the value I need. So what I'm going to do here is change this. So I'm going to say here constant tick angle or segment angle will be equal to 360 degrees divided by the length. So once I have this, I should have here now the console log, get this, put in here, save, refresh, and you can see here now we get a 51 degrees. That is, so from this point to this point is 51 degrees, so that works nicely. So what we want to do next is start to calculate that part. But to draw the arc, I need to start at the center here. This point I need to grab. So how can we find this one? Well, you can find it as well in the radial scale, the R scale. So if I open up here again, we can search here. You can see you get the drawing area, which will be important. And you can see here somewhere the X center and the Y center. So these coordinates are exactly here. But what I want to do is I want to get those coordinates and convert this canvas into 0, 0. So the center becomes a 0, 0, because from then on drawing will be very easy for us. Because we have as well the drawing area. The drawing area basically defines that from this point to here on top is 274 pixels. This information is very important for us. So let's start to say here drawing area. But what I want to do here, say constant, we can say here radius equals the drawing area. Then what I want to do as well is the X and Y center. So we say here X center, and then we put in here, and we say Y center, and this will be X and Y center. So now we have this, and I'll be showing you later on how we use that. But, well, or we can do it right away. So what I want to do here, the first thing is we want to draw something. And what I mean by drawing is we're going to say ctx.save. We're going to draw our first line. And then I'm going to say here ctx.translate. And what this does is it will convert the value that we have here into 0. So this will be the new 0 point. The X and Y will be converted into these two values. So now if I start to draw, you will see something. So let's start to create a very simple line. We're going to say begin path. And then I'm going to say ctx.move to. For now, I'm just going to use move to. Later on, I will change this. But I just want to show you this. This is very important. So the move to requires the X and Y coordinates. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say 0, 0. And then I'm going to put in here, we're going 10 to the right and 10 pixels down. and this needs to be a line 2. Then I'm going to say ctx.stroke to draw this line. Save, refresh. Oh, and as you can see, because of that, we get this reaction. I need to, after translate, because we have the save, make sure you have the save, I need to restore whatever we did. So undo our translation. So say ctx.restore to set it back to its original coordinates. There we are. So if you look very carefully, you can see here we're going down here. If I don't use this, you will see that it will start here instead. There we are. So the translate is very important. Now, what we need to do is working with the coordinates of the arc, because I want to draw an arc, not a straight line. So I'm going to say ctx.arc, and then in the arc, what I need to do is I need to get the x, the y, which is basically the 0, 0 point, the radius, and I will be needing, besides that, I will need the angle start, angle end. And you can see here we already have these here. This will be very important for us. And finally, counterclockwise, clockwise. In this case, we just set some false. We will not use this function at all in this video. So what I need here is 0 of the x and y, and I want to make sure we are in the starting point. So we can say here 0, comma 0. Then we have the radius, which we already have here, which is the drawing area that indicated this point all the way here to the top. And we might even need to add a little bit of pixels. So we can say here maybe plus 20. And let's see later on if it will surpass this part, but we'll check later. So once we did that, we have the angle start. For the angle start, we're going to work with the degrees, because we have here the 360 degrees. And what I need to do here then is just to convert math.pi into a degree. And we know that we're going to say an angle, and we know that 1 math.pi equals a half circle, meaning 180 degrees, and 2 pi is a full circle, 360 degrees. That's why we had this calculation here. So we have this now, and we're going to convert it just now into a single degree, so we know that it becomes very easy for us. So once we have this, what we know is we have the segment angle that calculates the 51 degree it was showing. So we can just start to work on that. To do this, I'm just going to put in here an enter, and here an enter as well, and making sure that you are able to follow with this. The radius is given. Now we're going to start with the angle here. What I'm going to do is, we're going to say angle, and then what I will start with is 270 degrees, and then what I want to do is just from here all the way here. So that's a 90 degree rotation. So what I'm going to do here is, we can say this, and then we can do here 360, and we save that. And you might wonder, why is 270 here, and shouldn't this be the 0 point? No, this is the 0 point, which is the 90 degree angle here. This is 0, 90, 180, 270, and then full circles 360, or basically from here to here can be set at 360 or 0, one or the other. For this demonstration, I use 360. So let's save this, refresh, and there we are. So this is all fine, and you can see here we should have a bit of a higher pixel amount. So what we have here, 20 is not suitable. Let's make this maybe 50. That's why we had the padding of 50 here. So we have a lot of extra space. That looks quite decent, but what I want to do is I want to start here, hit the Wednesday, or basically hit this bottom here. So how can we solve that? So to do that, we need to understand the tick start and tick end. But you can also understand here that this is basically the starting point, and this side here is considered the ending point of our angle or arc. So what we do know is we want to start here, and then what we want to do is we want to add basically the starting tick. And the starting tick, how we calculate this, will be basically, let's see, we do the angle. We're going to calculate from 270, that will be our starting point. Then we say plus, what exactly do we want to add? Whatever is the angle segment, multiply by the tick start, which is basically group array dot, and then, or index 0 in this case, and then tick start. Hold on, begin path. Now I'm going completely wrong, my apologies. Let's cut that out, put it back in here. That's where we need to put it. This is the starting point. So we have that in here. If I save this, we should still be in the same position. There you are. Because what we're really doing is multiply by 0 from now, because the starting point is 0. But then what I want to do here is I want to do the same here, but then with the tick end. However, our tick end will not be 360, no, it will just be, and this is very nice, we just calculate from this point, and then we say here plus the segment angle, and then here the tick end. And you might wonder, if we're going over 360, would it be then 0, or do we need to start again calculating from 0? No, no need, it will understand the logic. That makes it really nice. So if I save this, refresh, and there we are. Now it works nicely. So now we have this. We're not done yet, because what I want to do now, let's remove all of this excess code, we don't need that. What I want to do now is I want to loop through this based on our group array. So what I'm going to do here is use a for each loop. So what I'm going to say here, group array, and then we say here dot for each, and then for every group, I guess, item, and then we say here the index, function arrow expression, just put it in here. Then I'm going to cut out this part, put it in there, proper indentation, then, or let's indent this all, then I want to set this correctly, because we have here this needs to be, because we have the group item already, it will understand this. We can just change here, use this shorthand. Do we have anything else? Let's save that. Refresh. Alright, so far we see this, but it's very hard to understand if we're really working. How we could check is by saying plus index. If we do this, we probably will see these lines sticking out a few pixels, or 1 pixel times index. And you can see here this works. Let's start to assign a color. Then we will see it very nicely. So we say ctx dot stroke style, and we're going to say the stroke style will be a color, and the color will be depending on the group item dot color. Save that. Go back here, refresh. You can see here now we have blue, red, black, and green. So now that looks quite nice. I can remove this index. This was just only for viewing purposes. There we are. And that looks quite nice. We could put, of course, the text in here, but that will be another video. However, now we have this, and that looks quite phenomenal.